Welcome to VCR, Vintage Cinema Rewind. We're bringing old movies to new viewers. I'm Blake.
And I have a confession to make before we get started.
Okay.
So, I've always kind of wondered what my life would have been like if I'd had a brother instead of a sister.
Mhm.
And I would go as far as to say that you, Blake, are actually the closest thing I have to a brother.
This is correct, yeah.
This is correct. All that being said, having seen this movie, I am no longer curious, and I don't want a brother anymore.
We're talking about Dead Ringers from 1988.
Yeah, the Cronenberg movie.
Yeah. Considered one of the great Canadian films of all time.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd never heard of it, so
Yeah.
I went in not knowing what to expect, and wow. I almost wish I'd been a little more prepared for what I was about to see.
Yeah, it was something. I mean, it was Cronenberg, so at the very least, I knew I was going to be probably mildly upset by the end.
Yeah, but like it's not even really, okay, we'll talk about it later. There's one, I watched like maybe the first 45 minutes, hour of this movie, and I'm like, you wouldn't know Cronenberg directed this. But then there's one scene like an hour in, and I'm like, oh yeah, there he is. This is a Cronenberg movie.
Yeah, and, I consider one of his better movies, or one of his best movies, critically, I think.
Yeah.
He definitely has, like, a number of movies that are cult classics, like The Fly is kind of I think the go-to that a lot of people think of, but there's also,
Right.
like, you've seen a couple, right?
I've seen Videodrome.
Yeah.
And probably, he did A History of Violence in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that one at some point.
That's a good one, too. That's another movie, actually, where, for the first half an hour, you're like, this doesn't seem like a Cronenberg movie. And then something happens, you're like, oh, there it is. So Cronenberg, for those of you who don't know, is most famous for his body horror.
Yes, and that's why I mentioned The Fly.
Right. So for those of you who remember that old Rick and Morty episode where everybody gets twisted into mutants and they start calling them Cronenbergs, like that's a nod to him.
Yep.
And by the way, that's how you know you're successful, is if Rick and Morty is making fun of you.
If an adult animated series is making fun of you.
Right. That's all you need, right?
Yeah.
That's my own personal definition of success.
Yeah, because before that it was Family Guy, and before that it was The Simpsons.
I wonder what's next, because it's not really Rick and Morty anymore.
No, it's not.
Because no one cares except me. I still care a little.
I don't know. I don't know what's out there anymore. I think it's kind of the landscape's changed because it's not like, people aren't tuning into like NBC or wherever those shows were on regularly anymore.
Yeah.
So, primetime adult comedies don't really exist in the same capacity.
I guess not. Also, it's interesting just in terms of like, so this is jumping ahead a bit, but there was apparently a Prime miniseries based on this movie, and I was like, I've never even heard of this.
No,
like,
neither did I. Yeah.
So with Rachel Weisz, who's
Yeah.
like, I think she was in The Mummy or something.
Oh, yeah. Rachel Weisz is like an A-lister. I've watched a couple of her movies. She was in The Lobster.
Oh, yeah, she was.
Yeah.
There's a lot
She's actually a really good actress. She's married to Daniel Craig.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Huh.
And him.
Yeah. I mean, yes, good for him. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah. So anyways, Dead Ringers.
Yeah.
I got to put my cards on the table. I really liked this movie.
I knew it. As soon as we watched this one, I was like, this is such a Michael movie.
Yeah, and I don't know what that says about me because it's like creepy and off-putting and borderline incestuous at times, but like I'm just like, wow, like it is kind of like, I don't know. I was actually, and this is a huge compliment because I don't typically reread books, replay games, rewatch movies.
Right.
But I'm like, I might rewatch this again.
Well, and I think that I definitely enjoyed this one. I had the exact same thought as you as I was finishing it. I was like, oh, I need to rewatch this and soon because it's kind of a movie that I feel like I need to like unpackage more.
Yeah, it almost reminded me of, we were just talking about Boogie Nights. It almost kind of reminded me of a Paul Thomas Anderson movie or even a like David Lynch movie where it's just, there's something just very wrong about this movie.
Yes.
And it's not always obvious why, but you're just kind of, it's like it unfolds at this very like surreal, dreamlike pace where you're just like, I don't feel good about what's happening. Like,
right.
My skin is crawling and I can't even really articulate why.
Well, and this is a movie I think as well that on first watching at first glance, I think Jeremy Irons like is going to be the person that you feel is the one carrying this movie. And he largely is, because he's playing the twins in this movie. We haven't talked about the plot
maybe
quite
I
yet,
should give
but...
like a really brief synopsis.
Yeah, okay, let's do the
just
plot
so that
summary and
people
then we can
catch up with us.
Yeah.
So, all right, I hope you're sitting down. So Jeremy Irons, opposite Jeremy Irons, plays Beverly and Elliot Mantle, a pair of brilliant twins who are like world-renowned gynecologists, right? So let that sink in for a minute. They're twin brothers who are also gynecologists.
Yeah, it's even in that sense, it's kind of like a little bit of an outside of like a standard film idea.
Yeah, right. And they kind of have a very beautiful, but also maybe a slightly suspect relationship, in the sense that, and you know what, this movie is probably going to turn a lot of people off just because of the subject matter. And like, I can't really disagree with that. So Beverly and Elliot kind of have this thing where Elliot, who's the more suave and charismatic and outgoing of the two, will seduce their patients, which is already fucking creepy now that I think about it, right? It's funny, Dave Chappelle has this bit about how men shouldn't even be allowed to be gynecologists because it's such a conflict of interests, and maybe he saw this movie, but... So, again, Elliot will seduce these patients, and then he'll pass them off to Beverly, his identical twin brother, who's much more, like, studious and shy and reserved, right? And, of course, these women don't realize that they're pulling a, like, double Prince and the Pauper kind of thing on them, right?
Yeah.
Which is super gross.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was thinking you couldn't really make this movie nowadays because that's
there's layers to the taboo in this movie.
Yeah, well, and I mean that in particular, like that's rape, right?
Yeah.
Like that's bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like this movie is like condoning it.
No,
but...
I know, but even, you know, anyways, we'll get into that more in the deep dive. But like, there's gonna be a lot of me awkwardly stammering and trying to figure out how to approach this subject matter.
Yeah.
Which is something I kind of admire about this movie, that it's willing to actually go there.
Right.
So again, we've got these twin brothers who are gynecologists who are pulling this kind of reversal thing. And then a famous actress shows up with a certain specific medical problem. And they both take turns with her, only for Beverly, the shy one, to suddenly start developing feelings for her.
Right.
So you can kind of see where this conflict comes in, where we've got Beverly and Elliot who are like... They have the same practice. They share the same apartment. They basically share everything, right?
Yep.
Suddenly there's this third party who's in there interfering with this like delicate equilibrium. It's almost kind of a love story. Or excuse me, it's almost kind of like a love triangle.
Yeah.
Except, and you know, which way the triangle is pointing might change depending on the scene. So yeah, it's very much a story about... And I'm almost kind of hesitant to get too much into it in the primer, but like, it's very much a twist. It's almost like an erotic thriller.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I would call it an erotic thriller. I mean, at its core, it's about identity, and we'll talk about that in the deep dive.
Yeah, I know in Google it says like thriller, mystery, and I'm like, I don't know that it's a mystery.
Well, and I even saw online some discussion about this movie being a horror, and I watched and I didn't feel that while I was watching it, and then I actually listened to a interview with David Cronenberg, and he said the exact same thing. He was like, people are going to think about this as a horror movie because that's what I'm known for, but I don't think of this as a horror movie. I think of this as a drama.
That's a drama. Yeah, I saw that same interview.
Yeah.
So, and actually Blake and I were joking before we started recording about how like you can tell how excited we are based on how much research we do, right?
Yeah.
Especially me. If I'm lukewarm in a movie, I just show up to this recording session knowing nothing. But all I know is that it's a movie and I might have seen it.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so it's very much a weird psychosexual character drama.
Yeah.
And it's equal parts uproariously funny in a very bleak way.
Yeah.
And also like incredibly, phenomenally upsetting.
Yes.
And that's something and we've talked about this before, that's something I really admire, is when a movie can make me laugh but also make me cry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, like I was saying before, I think Jeremy Irons, especially in the first viewing of this, is really the one who pops on screen. Like, his performance is, like, noteworthy. And, you know, Jeremy Irons is a household name, I would say.
I feel like especially for people of our generation,
Yep.
you kind of think of Jeremy Irons more as like a character actor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just pulling this out of the top of my head, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the expression is. You might think of Jeremy Irons as Alfred from the Snyderverse Batman movies.
Right.
You might also think of him as Brom from the Aragon movie from like 2006.
That was awful.
That was awful. Yeah, that's why my brain was trying to correct me. It's like Aragorn, no, the good one. So you also, I know for me personally, he's always going to be Scar from The Lion King, right? Yeah. He's the voice of Scar. Easily my favorite Disney villain, one of the greatest villains of all time. I was never into acting, but I remember saying, like, if my high school or college had done like a theater production of The Lion King, I would have so been there for Scar.
Yeah.
Especially remember when I had long black hair?
Yeah.
I would have been scarring it up, you know?
Well, and I feel like you kind of nailed it. Like Jeremy Irons the last 20 years has kind of been doing more like character acting
Right.
parts.
So sorry, let me just complete that thought. Like it's kind of nice seeing him actually as like the leading man, right?
Because he's actually like as a character actor, he's always phenomenal in everything he is. Like I even think about him in there's this movie called Margin Call, I believe, where he actually shows up in it as an executive. It's a movie about like the 2008 financial crisis.
Okay.
And he shows up as like a trading executive, and he's like exceptional in that role as well.
Yeah.
Like he has a very powerful screen presence.
It's kind of funny. He's one of those actors, almost kind of like Nicolas Cage, where like he shows up in a lot of bad movies.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, oh, thank God it's you, Jeremy Irons, right?
Yeah, because he makes it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Even a bad movie, he can make a little bit better.
Like even the Aragon movies, I said it correctly that time. Like I remember, like one of the few things I remember is his opening scene where he's like, just this depressed old man selling chicken, and some guards are like harassing him, and he's kind of like, and he's like drolly making fun of them the whole time. I'm like, there he is.
Yeah.
Like that's Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so I think on first viewing, that is what really popped for me. However, there was this kind of underlying thought I was having throughout this movie of like, this might be like one of the better directed films that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, like I don't always have a great sense of that sort of thing, but like the way certain shots are framed, there's a scene where Beverly is chatting with his girlfriend, and like something tense is happening, and like the whole shot is kind of like, it's almost like we're watching from another apartment.
Yeah.
Like it's this big wide shot, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is really interesting.
You
like,
can feel the choices in this movie.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is true, but someone in film school told me once that Cronenberg doesn't actually use storyboards. He just shows up and figures it out.
Really?
And I'm kind of like, if that's true, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I kind of, especially by the end, I was really appreciating the directorial style to this. And I think part of the style as well is also like giving an actor like Jeremy Irons like really good direction as to like what these two characters each represent and how to like balance each of the characters together.
Well, and also like we need to talk about, I feel like Sinners is really in everybody's consciousness right now.
Really timely to do a twin movie.
Yeah, actually that was good. We did a great SEO sort of by accident.
Yeah.
So, and like that movie used like really state of the art technology to make two Michael B. Jordans, and it's flawless.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking flawless.
Yeah.
This is another movie where it's like 35-ish years old, and like you couldn't, like I was watching this movie for the first 10 minutes and I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm looking for the scene.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I had the same thought in the first 10 minutes. You kind of like challenge the movie to like fail almost with the twins, right?
Well, especially like maybe for the first, we open with like a flashback with them as boys, which are clearly, they just found twins and like, whatever, right? And then maybe for the first 10 minutes you're watching them and like, you can tell, you're like, okay, like where's two Jeremy Irons? I'm only seeing the one on screen.
Right.
And then there's a scene pretty early on where you see the both of them, like they're in their apartment or something, and there you see the two Jeremy Irons on screen. You're like, oh my God, they did it.
Yeah.
And like it looks pretty good.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I very much agree. They actually did they kind of invented some of this on the fly as well for this movie.
It's like a little digital, right?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Like again, with the twins kind of thing, you're always kind of challenging that a little bit. And like I think something that I wanted to mention, especially in the who this movie is for, is I found in the first 30 minutes in particular that I was kind of maybe like almost challenging the movie too much and kind of thinking, well, I'm not sure that I can really tell the difference all that much between these two Jeremy Irons, and I actually think that that's actually slightly by design.
Yeah, I think I had the same moment where there's a moment like 45 minutes in where I'm like, wait, who is it?
Yeah.
Like, which is it? And then I was kind of like, oh, well,
Yeah.
if I were a studio head, I would have given notes on this. But then by the end of the movie, I'm like, oh, I think this is kind of the point,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And I saw an interview with Jeremy Irons actually relatively recently where he even said, like, part of the point is that you can't tell them apart.
Right.
So-
Right up until you can.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that actually was, again, that's really a hat nod to David Cronenberg for that, because I think that was another choice that he made to kind of show us like them kind of similar, and then at the same time as the actress Claire starts to figure this out is really when we start to see the subtle differences between the two.
Right. Like the cracks, let's say.
Yeah, in their dual individual persona.
Yeah, and it's also really interesting how, like, you know, like we said, there are moments when like they switch places with each other.
Mhm.
So now you're watching Beverly or Elliot like impersonating their other half, right?
Yeah,
So that's like, it's interesting.
there's a lot of layers to this.
There certainly is. This isn't like, I don't think I would have been confident enough to tell this story,
Yeah,
but like, and I don't think many people would, but like the fact that like it's such an unusual story about unusual subject matter and it's so like creepy and off-putting at times.
Yeah.
Like I really, hats off everybody.
yeah, for
I
sure.
think this is really the movie that got Jeremy Irons' Oscar. Like, I know he won it for some other movie like a couple years later, but I'm pretty sure this is the one where they're like, oh, okay, like this is,
Yeah.
he's an Oscar-winning actor. We have to give him an Oscar.
And I think he was a big theater guy too. So
I think so,
he probably
yeah.
had some awards on Broadway and whatever the UK British equivalent of Broadway is.
Yeah, the
So-
fake one. The one that doesn't count.
Well, I mean, in fairness, they did have Shakespeare, so.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being a dick.
Only other character that I want to mention, because she's so important to the story, is Claire, the actress, played by Guinevere Bujold, who we've actually covered this year on this podcast.
Yeah, she was the French teacher in Last Night.
Yeah, exactly.
It took me like a little bit longer than it should have to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, she's younger in this one, like 10 to 15 years younger in this movie. So, you know, like, and she's a very different persona in this movie than she is in the other movie. Like, she's a lot more reserved in the other movie.
Yeah. This
But-
one, she's a little kooky.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why I said it like that, but I'm leaving it in.
Well, you're not wrong. So yeah, no, she's great. I really liked her. She's actually like a pretty big Canadian actress, which is really cool to see her kind of popping up and stuff like this.
Yeah, right? You know, she's really...
And being utilized well.
Yeah, I would have liked a little more of her, maybe.
Yeah.
If I have one slight criticism in this movie, it's that I would have maybe liked a little more of her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the end of the day, it is a very much a character study between Jeremy Irons and Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons and Jeremy Irons, right? Yeah.
This is not a movie where we could just call the actor while describing it.
Yeah. I mean, Elliot and Beverly, right?
Yeah.
Elliot and Beverly.
So who is this movie for? We've kind of already talked about like it being an erotic thriller. Like it's a pretty high concept film. It's a thinker.
I mean, let me put it this way. It's about twin male gynecologists who start sleeping with the same woman. You know what's funny? Part of me was like, I wonder what my mom would think of this movie. And then I was like, I am not sitting through this movie with my mom. Like, I would literally rather die.
Yeah, that's fair. But would you recommend her to watch it?
Not my mom, but anyone else. Yeah.
I think my mom would actually like this.
Well, maybe both of our moms can watch it together.
Yeah. I don't know. Jeremy Irons, like he's a presence. You know, he's somebody that I think a lot of people would get into this movie just for him in particular.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we kind of talked about all the stuff that I wanted to talk about here. I found this movie kind of hauntingly sad as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not fun, you know.
No.
Like I know there's a story about how, and I don't know if this is apocryphal or not, but like after one of the screenings, some film executive came up to David Cronenberg and was just like, "Why am I so fucking sad?" It's kind of like, yeah, that's the right attitude to walk away from it with.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah, really solid, really, really good. I would recommend this to a lot of people. You probably don't want to watch it with your parents, but
no, never.
no,
Not with anyone you know, actually.
But this is a movie that is probably flying way too under the radar for how good it is.
Yeah, well, like, it's funny. We have our usual thing where you send me a list of options, and I was just like, I don't care. Like, you pick. And then you're like, let's do this. No, actually, let's do this.
Yeah.
Then you're like, no, actually, we're going to do Dead Ringers. And then last night I was just like, Google. By the way, this movie I think it's free on YouTube.
Oh, really? It's on Tubi as well.
Yeah, I mean, Tubi, I was getting annoyed by the ads, but like...
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watching movies on cable.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And it's clearly like they don't have a guy going in and putting it at the right places. Like mid-scene, it'll just be like, ask your doctor if Claritin is right for you. And I'm like, what the fuck? By the way, as someone who doesn't watch TV and most of the content I consume is on like YouTube or Instagram.
Yeah.
So like I don't really watch ads anymore, but seeing them again, I'm like, ads have gotten weirder in like the 10 years I wasn't looking.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably more towards people who are like in their late 50s to early 80s.
Well, that's even worse.
That's their target demographic now.
Yeah, I guess. Well, what do they think is going on with people at that age group? Like, it's like, I feel like a group of coke-addled executives came up with these ads. Anyways, that's besides the point, and I'm leaving this whole thing in. But
Good.
What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's free on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Normally I check YouTube, and it looks like it's just... Sometimes YouTube will do this thing where it'll be on YouTube and it'll just be free. You can just watch it.
Well, I'll leave you to put the link in for the episode description.
Okay,
for YouTube link.
Sure.
Put on Just Watch too, because it's on Tubi, and I think that you got to give David Cronenberg a little bit of.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Go watch it on Tubi. You'll probably get more money from that.
Yeah.
Does David Cronenberg need the money? Probably.
Everybody needs a little bit of.
Everybody needs money.
Love.
Yeah.
When to watch? I kind of struggled with this one. Like, when is the best time to watch a movie like this?
I watched it last night.
Yeah.
Saturday night by myself, and I was kind of like, yeah, this is the good time to watch it.
Okay.
This isn't a movie you can just watch like on a Sunday afternoon.
No, you gotta be prepared. Like, I think I would have maybe watched this on like a Friday night, not a late night Friday night either, because you kind of leave this movie like pondering some big things.
You come out of this movie like unsettled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It like same but different with like The Fly, right? Like, I watched The Fly and I was like, I need to shower now. And
you know what? That's a good way of putting it. I really needed a shower after this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's it for the primer episode. So I hope you go and check this one out because, again, I think this is actually somewhat underrated. It is considered like one of the all-time Canadian movies, but
yeah, and I mean, I actually don't think that's fair. It should just be called like one of the best movies of like the 80s or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Really, really good movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week for the deep dive.
Yeah, and don't tell your dad.
Tell your mom.
Dad.
Again, I think my mom might enjoy this one.
Okay, well, subscribe to our Patreon where we get Denine's take on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you next time.
Bye.